This is a tough pill for some people to swallow, but veterans often face discrimination, stereotyping, prejudice in the civilian workplace. They do. Some people see that uniform and without context, they think, I support that guy in our country, or that guy or gal in our country, and, but then in the back of their head, they're thinking robotic, inflexible, short-fused, not personable, especially if you got tough guy face on. You can't tell me that as a civilian with no context or experience working with military folks, or hardly any, you can't tell me that you look at this photograph and you see somebody that would be good to have in the office. That would be fun to have in the office. That guy doesn't look fun. It's a tough pill to swallow. It sucks because we're told like, yeah, everybody loves military members. Thanks for your service, right? Very few people would say outwardly, screw the troops. And thank goodness. I mean, this is not Vietnam. This is not what my dad went through after he got done with his rotation in Vietnam getting spit on. But there is a subconscious bias that can be more damaging. It's a little more subversive because I may think they understand. We appreciate veterans over here. But in the back of that person's head, they would never hire me. A million years, they'd never hire that guy. You got to dress for the job you want. Because without that, you will look like you don't fit, or that you're not going to fit. It shouldn't be that way, but it is. Deal with it. Yes, veterans face prejudice in the workplace. However, the onus is on the veteran to prepare themselves properly for their transition. Sometimes they don't know how to do that, or they don't know that they need to do it or take it seriously because they haven't been mentored. They haven't been trained. Nobody told them. They don't know what they don't know. They do have unique hurdles because they are veterans. Sometimes people see that the military experience doesn't bring value to the role. And you know that it does. Those soft skills, non-technical secondary skills, they can bring a lot to a table depending on the discipline and the industry and the position that they're applying for. If that veteran does not have direct technical aptitude, then those secondary skills don't matter. I could have a mountain of secondary skills. I could be the king of soft skills. But if I'm not an architect, an architectural firm is not going to hire me, and they shouldn't. Does that mean that employer doesn't see value in my secondary skills? No, it just means that technically I am not fit for the position I'm applying for. And I try to talk on both ends. I try to talk to employers and say, suck less. And I try to talk to veterans and say, suck less. Every time I talk to veterans and say, suck less, there's always somebody who's like, yeah, but the employers, they make it hard. It's like, I never said they didn't. Of course they do. And if I have videos out there where I'm like, employers, suck less, there's always somebody that's like, well, it's the veteran's fault. I got a job. If they didn't get a job, then they're slackers. It's on them. I'm like, I never said it wasn't. Folks, more than one thing can be true at the same time. I'm not saying it's on the veteran. I'm not saying it's on the employers or the civilians who are receiving these veterans. It's on both. It's also on the facilitators at TAPS. It's also on the military for not prioritizing it in their education from the onset. It's everybody's fault. There are failures everywhere. And that's why I talk about what I talk about.